Okay, lesson 7.2, continuing on with our work with greatest common factor. In this lesson, we're going to take it one step up, and we're going to be factoring out a number from our coefficients, and we're also going to be factoring out a variable. So we're going to have to be looking for two factors to come out. All right, so to get started, let's think about the numbers 10 and 70. Well, I know that 7 times 10 makes 70, so I'm going to be able to take a factor of 10 from here and a factor of 10 from here. Now here I have two x's and here I have one x, so I'm going to be able to take an x away from both of these. So I'm going to be taking out 10x. Okay, so 10 divided by 10, I'm not going to have any number here. And this is really an x and an x. So I'm going to take away one of those x's because it's here, and that's going to leave me with just an x. So 10x times x gives me back 10x squared. Now I'm going to write down a plus. The sign has to stay the same. And really I'm dividing this by 10, which is going to leave me a 7. And I'm taking that x and I'm putting it out front. So there's our answer to the first problem. Okay, next one. 63 and 9. Well, I know that 9 times 7, okay, if I think about 63, I know that 7 and 9 makes a 63. So 9 is a common factor of 9 and 63. So I know a 9 is coming out front. The other interesting thing is I have a minus and a minus. So I'm just going to pull that minus away as well. So I'm taking away a minus 9. So negative 9 times positive 7 gives me 63. Now, there's no x's back here, so I'm not going to do anything with this x squared. Now, since I pulled the negative out here, this becomes a positive. And I pulled the 9 away, so I need a 1 as a placeholder. That one was a little tricky. We'll do some more with negatives in just a minute. Okay, 20 and 45. Okay. Doesn't jump out at me right away. So what you can do is that technique that we did in the very first intro, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, there's no 3, 4, and 5. Okay, there I am done with the 20. Okay, how about 45? 1 and 45, no 2. 3, yeah, there's a factor of 3. That would be 15. 4 times 9. 4 times 9. Nope, there's no 4. It's 5. It's 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so there's a 5 and there's a 5. So now I've found my greatest common factor. So this little work might be something that you would need to do if you can't see the factor immediately. So I know a 5 comes out. Now, I've got 2 x's here and I've got 3 x's here. What's the greatest number of x's that they both have? And the answer there is 2. So, this has 2 x's. This has 1, 2, 3 x's. So 2 x's here and 2 x's here can come out front. I should have left some room here. X squared comes out front. So what am I left with here? 20 divided by that 5 gives me a 4, and the x squared went out front. I didn't do anything with the sign, so the sign stays the same. I'm dividing 45 by 5, and that's going to give me that 9. I took these 2 x's and I put them out front. That left me with 1 x behind. Okay, next one. 21 and 70. Okay, 21 doesn't have that many factors. I know that I've got 1 and 21, not 2, but 3 and 7. Oh, okay, there's 7, and I know that 7 times 10 makes 70. So there's my numerical factor that's going to come out. I know it's going to be a 7. Okay, now I'm going to leave myself some space this time. I've got 2 x's here and I've got 4 x's here. What's the greatest number of x's that they both have? Well, they both have at least 2 x's. So I'm going to take x squared in the front. So now let's figure out what got left behind. 21 divided by 7 gives me 3. I'm already taking those 2 x's and I'm putting them out front, so that's all I have left. Haven't done anything to the sign. It stays the same. 70, I'm dividing by 7, which is going to give me 10. I took away 2 of the 4 x's, so 4 minus 2 left me 2 x's. So it's x squared that got left behind. And there's the answer to the third one. Okay, I said we do some more practice with negatives, so here we go. Negative 30 minus 100x squared. Well, they're both divisible by 10. And I know that 30 is only, there's no 30s in 100. So I'm going to go with the number 10. I also see that they both have a negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away the negative 10 and put it out front. This has an x squared and this doesn't have any x's. So there's no variables that are going to come out. So I can go ahead with so I'm dividing by negative 10. Negative 30 divided by negative 10 gives me positive 3. And here I'm dividing by negative 10. Negative and a negative is going to change this into a positive. 100 divided by 10 is 10, and nothing happened to the x squared. And that's our answer. Okay, next example. Here again, a negative and a negative, so I know I'm going to pull that negative out front. 40 and 16. Okay, well the first number that jumps out to me is a 4. If I take a 4 out of here, that's probably not going to be enough. So I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to do my factoring. 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4, 10, 5 times 8. Okay, what about 16? 1, 16, 2, 8, 4, 4. Okay, we have a lot of commons, but what's the biggest number? The biggest number is an 8. So that's our greatest common factor, is the 8. So the 8's going to come out, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out as a negative. Can they both have a negative? I also see that there are variables in both of these. I'll leave myself some space. So I'm taking out negative 8. Now, there are 3 x's here and 2 x's here. What is the greatest number that they both have? That greatest number is x squared. So I'm going to take x squared out front. Okay, so what I'm really doing is I'm dividing each of these by 8x squared. And what do I have? A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 40 divided by 8 gives me 5. X cubed divided by x squared. If you remember, the rules for exponents is to subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1, or 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I can cancel 2, and I'm only left with 1. Minus, except minus divided by a minus gives me a plus. 16 divided by 8 is 2. And x squared on the top and x squared on the bottom cancels each other out. Okay, I have 2 more examples for us. All right. A negative and a positive, I'm not going to take out a negative. 40 and 70 both end in a 0, so I know they both have 10. And 40 is not a factor of 70, so I'm going to go with 10. I'm taking out the number 10, but not a variable. So I'm basically dividing by 10. 40 divided by 10 is -4 plus 7, and nothing happened to the variable. All right, last one. -9x minus -27x squared. They both have a negative. They both have a factor of 9, because 9 times 3 is 27, and they both have a x. So I'm taking out a lot this time. I'm taking out a negative, and I'm taking out a 9, and I'm taking out an x. All right, so I'm dividing everything by -9x, -9x. So this is the same on the top and the bottom, so this becomes a number 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 27 divided by 9 gives me 3. 2 x's on the top and 1 on the bottom, so I'm canceling out 1x, which leaves me with 1x. And there you go. That's the end of today's video.